Hello and welcome to your Fantasy Premier League one-stop shop. I'm your host Stephen Gallagher, world number 3 in points totals over the past 3 seasons, and that will be the last time you hear me saying that because it is the final game week of the season and I don't think I'll be holding on to that title for next season. Today we'll be looking at all the key points for game week 38, injury news, chip strategies, players to buy, captaincy and more. If you've been watching on YouTube and have been enjoying the videos, then consider subscribing. We're still aiming for 5,000 subscribers by the end of the season, so join the community if you haven't already. Let's get straight into it, starting with the injury news. The big news this game week that a lot of managers will be keeping their eyes on is Alexander Isak. The quote from Eddie Howe midweek is that it's a groin issue that has kept him out the last game week, and actually he's been struggling with it the past few months. And in the Friday press conferences, Eddie Howe says that Isak will be assessed ahead of the fixture against Everton as he didn't train Friday morning. Now, if we don't get any news on Isak and we think his minutes are going to be managed, then I do think he is a sell, and we'll look at some possible replacements for him later in the video. On Saliba and Timber, they won't be playing in the final game week of the season. I'd be benching Saliba and or Timber if you have a decent backup on your bench. But if you don't have a good player to replace them with in your starting lineup, then I think they're both an okay sell. Obviously, if you have other spots in your team to deal with, especially in the midfield and attack, then I think it's okay to bench either of these guys this game week. For those of you with chips left, I'll go through these very quickly. If you still have your bench boost, then use it. Don't take loads of hits unless you have players who we know aren't playing or we get leaks that they aren't starting. For wildcard and free hit, I'll be doing a draft for both of these, so keep an eye on my Twitter and on my deadline stream before the deadline. For triple captain, I'm going to do my captaincy rankings later in the video, but the top contenders in my eyes are Salah, Bowen and Evan Nielsen. And finally, on the assistant manager chip, these are the projections for assistant managers this game week, courtesy of Rob T on Twitter. We'll be looking at a lot of his graphics today, so massive shout out to him. Vitor Pereira has the highest predicted points. Wolves play Brentford at home. They've got table bonus, they've got good win percentage and clean sheet odds, and he's definitely a differential pick too, so I think he's a great pick. Next up is Big Ange, although I'm not sure how much stock Spurs will put into this game after they've just won the Europa League final, so I wouldn't go for him personally. Those are the two best table bonus managers though, but if you want to go for something safer, I would go for Arteta against Southampton away or Iraola against Leicester at home. Both good shouts as a safer pick. On to defences to target using Rob T's clean sheet odds for this game week. Firstly, I see a lot of people saying to focus on midfield and forward transfers instead of defensive transfers because of the high upside with attacking picks on the last game week of the season. And I do understand this, but a defender bagging a clean sheet and an attacking return could deliver a huge points haul, and if you have an obvious transfer in your defence, then I do see the value in making a defensive transfer this game week. Now, according to this table, Newcastle have the highest clean sheet odds. They're up against Everton at home. The likes of Livermento, Schär and Dan Burn, they're all good picks. And then Bournemouth and Arsenal are tied second for clean sheet odds here. I really like the look of Kirkes for this game week. And then Arsenal, they're missing Saliba and Timber. They're still going to want to keep a clean sheet to try and secure the Golden Glove for David Raya. But with two of their starting defenders out, I prefer the look of the Newcastle lads, and I would probably say Kirkes is my favourite defensive transfer in this game week. On to attacks to target, there's a lot to choose from here. First in the projected goals chart from Rob T is Liverpool. Salah, he's on 28 goals and 18 assists in the league. He's not been in the best of form, but he'll want to end the season strong. I also think Luis Diaz is a great pick this game week. His data has been really good recently, and if he plays up top, then that's a huge plus. And I also think Gakpo is a nice differential pick if he starts, of course. Then we have Bournemouth, Newcastle and Arsenal all tied for second here. Bournemouth play Leicester at home, which is definitely a fixture to target for attackers. Evan Nielsen, he's a great pick. He'll be massively transferred in this game week, I'd expect. And if you're looking to make a midfield transfer, then Kluivert or Semenyo should definitely be on your radar. Newcastle play Everton at home, which isn't the easiest fixture as Everton are a solid defence, which is why I'm slightly surprised to see Newcastle up here with Bournemouth and Arsenal. But if you want a punt on the likes of Gordon, Barnes or Murphy, they're all solid picks. I just think there's better selections this game week to go for, as I don't think this will be a very high scoring game. Arsenal play Southampton away, always a fixture to target. It's just about picking the Arsenal players who we think are going to start. We'll have to keep an eye on that. but the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Trossard and Merino, they're all worth considering. And for what it's worth, I think they all start this game. What I will say is that I know Arsenal don't have anything to play for in the Prem, but I think they'll want to end the season on a high, and I could see this being a high scoreline. So if you pick the right Arsenal attacker, you'll be in for a big haul. Tied for 5th are Brighton and Man City. Welbeck is a nice differential to go for from Brighton, and from City, you never know where the goals are going to come from now, but I'd back KDB, Marmoush and Haaland to start this game. In 7th is Aston Villa. Watkins is the most transferred in forward this game week, which makes sense because Villa play Man United, but I personally don't see this being a high scoring game. I do think Villa will win, but 2, maybe 3 goals is my prediction, and I'd back Ollie Watkins to be involved in a few of those at least. Then it's West Ham, and Jared Bowen is the most transferred in player so far this game week, and rightfully so. He's in great form, and he's one of the top captaincy shouts this game week with a fixture against Ipswich. He's a great pick for this game week to end the season. Then we have Brentford up against Wolves. Mbeumo and Wissa are both on 19 goals, which is crazy. I mean, what a season they've had, to be fair. And they're both going to want to hit that 20 goal mark, and I'd back them to do so, to be fair. Spurs are next, but I don't expect much from them after winning the Europa League. On the second half of this table, I'll go through a few options very quickly. Chelsea up against Forest. I think this will be quite a cagey fixture. Definitely the most important game in terms of the table and Champions League spots up for grabs, but I think both teams will play very safe. From Wolves, Cunha is always going to be a threat. This will likely be his last game for Wolves at home. He's going to want to go out with a bang. On to captaincy, and in my top spot, it's Jared Bowen against Ipswich away. He's got the form, he's got the fixture, what's not to like? In second, I have Salah against Crystal Palace at home. Salah has a lot to play for on a personal level with his stats this season. I know both teams have nothing to play for, but Salah will want to get the job done and finish the season strong. So he's in second, followed by Ivan Nielsen in third. He's got probably the best fixture this game week with Leicester at home. His data has looked really solid recently, and I can see why a lot of people are looking to transfer him in. Then in fourth, I have Saka. The fixture is playing a big part here because he obviously hasn't scored since game week 30 when he first came back from injury as a sub. But the fixture is there to be had, and we know how effective he can be for Arsenal. And finally, in fifth, I have Mbeumo. Like I said already, he's on 19 goals. He's going to want to hit 20. He's been so consistent all season, and he really deserves it, to be fair. So I can see him doing it this game week. On to my game week 37 review. 49 points all out. A red arrow down to 224k. Honestly, I don't have many words for how poorly this season has gone for me, and I don't want to be that person that puts it all down to luck, but if you watch the games this weekend, I got so unlucky. Salah and KDB both missed open nets. I didn't mind the Salah one too much, but the De Bruyne one did hurt because he's a differential for me. Then Bournemouth score in the 96th minute to wipe Gvardio's clean sheet off. And then to top it off, my 50-50 decision on Eze and Sarr back in like game week 30 has proven incorrect again, as Eze comes on and outscores Sarr from the bench. I've actually calculated that 50-50 between Eze and Sarr has cost me 32 points, which is just a huge swing, but what can you do? It just means I have to take a big punt this game week to try and salvage some respectability this season. So let's take a look at my plans for game week 38. So my transfer this game week is very dependent on whether Isak plays or not, and if we're not sure that he starts, then I'm thinking Isak to Gakpo as a big differential is the play. I know there's better forward picks this game week like Evanilson, Watkins and Wissa, but I need to go extra differential here. On the other hand, if we get wind that Isak is set to start and that Merino won't start, then I will definitely hold on to Isak and go from Merino to Kluivert, which isn't super differential, but everyone is looking to transfer in Evanilson, and I like this fixture for Bournemouth attackers in general, so Kluivert would be the move there. As I said though, nothing is set in stone here. A lot depends on the team news and any leaks that we get before the deadline. So do pop into my deadline stream at 1:30 p.m. UK time. I'll be answering all of your transfer questions and trying to figure out what we're going to do on this last game week of the season. So that's all for today, folks. Go ahead and drop a like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video, and rate 5 stars on audio if you're listening on Spotify or Apple. We're still aiming for that 5,000 subscriber mark by the end of the season, so join the community if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, have a good one.